So for my tribute speech, I decided to choose my grandpa, Gary Barnes. A little bit about him: he was born in Missouri, but he moved to California when he was about 8 or 9 years old. He is one of the hardest workers I know, and his entire career was working with law enforcement. He worked for the Riverside Police Department and then later on the San Bernardino County District Attorney's Office. The reason why I chose him is my grandpa is someone that not only do I think I should aspire to be like, but I think a lot of people should aspire to have traits and characteristics like him. He's one of the greatest guys I know. He's, to me, what a true man should be. Career-wise, when he turned 18, one day after school, he decided that he wanted to fight for his country in Vietnam. So one day after school, he went to a couple recruiters' office, first to the Army, and he didn't really know if that's what he wanted, so then he went to the Marines, and he said once he talked to the recruiter for the Marines, he was sold. He signed up right then and there after school, went home and told his parents that he was joining the Marines to go fight in Vietnam, which they weren't too happy about at first because they didn't want him, like most parents, didn't want their son going to risk their lives. After he got back from Vietnam, though, he served a couple years over there. He didn't know what he wanted to do after, and then he was approached by a few different officers and sergeants from multiple agencies that were trying to recruit soldiers to join law enforcement, and he ended up liking that idea, and he applied for a couple different departments, and he ended up getting a job at the Riverside Police Department. This is where he would spend the majority of his career. He moved through the ranks very fast. After only about a year and a half in, he made detective. He was an undercover narcotics detective. He would go undercover into drug houses, which he has some pretty cool, sketchy stories about that. Like the one time a drug dealer recognized him, and his cover was almost blown. He was also the sergeant of SWAT for a little while, and a little cool story about that is that's when he was a sergeant of SWAT, tasers were starting to become a big thing in law enforcement, and because he wanted to make sure that they were going to be reliable when his team went into a house to serve a warrant, he wanted to make sure that that would put someone down, so he volunteered to get tased first, and he got tased, and he definitely agreed that they would work. So he ended up retiring there as deputy chief, which at the time was second in command. And as a matter of fact, today, the Riverside Police Department has 2 deputy chiefs that serve below an assistant chief. So 2 people are doing what his job was. That just goes to show how hard of a worker he was. After he retired from the Riverside Police Department, which he is now a legend at, a lot of people still talk about him today at the Riverside Police Department. They always are taken back when I tell them that that's my grandpa. It makes me proud to be able to say that he's my grandpa when it comes to that. After he retired, he decided he still wanted to do some sort of work, and he ended up getting a job as the assistant chief of investigations at the San Bernardino District Attorney's Office, and this is where he would spend the rest of his career. He did that for a while until he is finally retired after a long time of serving his community and his country. He is now enjoying life. Him and my grandma are enjoying life, retired. Some of the personal traits are the main reasons why I chose my grandpa for this tribute speech. Starting off with his leadership. He is what a true leader should be. He's stern on you when he needs to be, but he's also very kind and very understanding, and he'll help you get through things. And he obviously was a leader of a lot of people at the police department. He's very tough. He has been going through some back problems. A couple years ago, he had a major back surgery. He was supposed to be using a walker. He did not like to use a walker. He didn't use it when he didn't have to. And he's determined. He's always been determined. He was determined to serve his country and do his best serving his country. He was determined to be the best he could be at the police department, and he ended up being the best, one of the best that they've ever had, as told by many of the officers that still work there. He's even still determined to stay in good shape, even in his early 70s. He wakes up and he does 75 push-ups. He's just what I believe every man should strive to be, especially when it comes to the dedication to his family. My family is very family oriented, and he is one of the most family oriented out of all of us. He loves his family more than a lot of people do, and that's sad to say sometimes, but it really is true. So at the end of the day, the reason why I chose him was, like I said before, he's what I think someone should strive to be in terms of a person. And he's been one of my biggest inspirations in life.